Okay, well, the show is starting. I am Joe.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time zone you are in. Welcome back to Sip&Talk. I am Sunny.
Yeah.
And hello to all our Sip&Talkers out there.
I honestly just need a quick sip of sparkling water before we jump into this today. Because, man, my mind is still completely spinning.
Oh, I know exactly what you were going to say.
If you were anywhere near a screen yesterday,
Yeah.
you definitely saw the footage.
You are talking about Trump arriving at Beijing Capital International Airport?
Yeah, that exact footage. It was just, wow.
I mean, the entire internet saw it. It was genuinely a surreal spectacle.
Yeah.
Did you catch the exact time the wheels of Air Force One touched down on the tarmac?
It was something very specific, right? Like 8 something?
At 8 p.m. And I mean exactly down to the second.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the numerology flex alone is wild.
Yeah.
You know, choosing 8 for prosperity. But then you look out onto the actual tarmac and you have this massive sweeping red carpet. And lining the carpet are like 300 students, all perfectly arranged, waving flags with movements so incredibly precise, so totally synchronized, that it looked like they were being controlled by a single algorithm.
Literally.
I am not exaggerating when I say I almost thought I had time traveled to 1970s Pyongyang.
It is true. The visual impact was just staggering. Every single pixel of that broadcast was meticulously designed. You have the honor guard standing like statues and those kids moving in perfect unison.
It is so jarring.
It is a highly calculated power muzzle flex. And it's not just designed for the visiting American delegation. That is a broadcast to a global audience and, honestly, more importantly, a domestic one.
Which is sparking a massive debate today online. People are calling this the ultimate visual representation of China's North Koreanization.
Right, that specific label.
Yeah, you know that phrase. The extreme personality cult, the extreme pageantry, this overwhelming demand for unquestioning loyalty and absolute order.
It is a fascinating paradox to look at structurally. Because on one hand, that kind of hyper-choreographed pageantry is an incredibly efficient shortcut to absolute power for leadership.
100%. It projects total invincibility.
Exactly. It says we are in complete control. But on the flip side, what does it actually cost?
Mm-hmm.
It requires the total erasure of individuality for the people participating in it.
Right. They cease to be people in that moment.
Yeah, those 300 students aren't individuals right then. They become mere background props in a giant piece of political theater.
Completely. And while Trump certainly seemed to enjoy the royal red carpet treatment, I mean, the optics of being treated like an emperor play very well for his personal brand, today we really need to unpack the reality behind this North Koreanization label.
Because there is a deeply transactional nature to this entire visit.
Right. Oh, absolutely. What we are really witnessing is this extreme, almost bizarre collision. You have Western tech capitalism meeting digital authoritarianism right there on the tarmac.
Let's unpack that collision, because the juxtaposition of who was actually walking down that highly choreographed red carpet is almost funny when you think about it.
It is magic realism.
It really is.
Yeah.
The American entourage is incredibly tech and finance heavy. We're talking about top executives from Apple, Tesla, Boeing, Goldman Sachs, Citi, and Blackstone.
Yeah.
You literally have the ultimate avatars of free market capitalism, the biggest beneficiaries of a decentralized global economy, walking through a scene straight out of a totalitarian playbook.
It genuinely feels like a movie. And the tech contrast is especially sharp right now. If you look at the passenger manifest, you have 3 major chip executives on board.
Oh, right, the big 3.
Yeah, NVIDIA, Micron, and Qualcomm, the absolute heavyweights of the CHES era.
Yeah.
And the logistics of how they even got there are wild. Did you see the detail about NVIDIA's CEO?
Hey, Jensen Huang, what happened?
Yeah, he was a total last-minute addition to the delegation. He literally had to hop on Air Force One during a refueling stop in Alaska.
You are kidding me.
No, seriously, he just caught a ride in Anchorage to go meet the premier.
I love that detail. Just casually thumbing a ride on the presidential jet. But, you know, it highlights the irony of the whole situation. You mentioned Micron's CEO being present.
Yeah.
That is wildly ironic, considering Micron faced severe national security restrictions and bans over there just back in 2023.
Oh, right. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, and now, 3 years later, they are stepping off the plane into this highly orchestrated, flawless welcome.
It perfectly highlights the purely transactional nature of this entire visit. It is a business trip masked as diplomacy. Trump's objective here is incredibly straightforward.
He wants to win.
Exactly. He wants to walk out of those closed-door meetings, step up to a microphone, and announce to the world, "We won." Internally, the strategy his team is pushing is being called the 5 Bs.
Okay, I've been following this.
Yeah.
Let's break down the 5 Bs because it is a brilliant PR strategy.
It really is.
So it stands for Boeing, specifically rumors of a massive 500 plane order. Then beans, meaning a huge guaranteed purchase of American soybeans. Beef, obviously, tapping into the agricultural base.
Right, the ag sector.
And then 2 institutional frameworks, a board of trade and a board of investment.
So it is heavily focused on agriculture, aerospace, and setting up structured committees.
Exactly. It is a list of tangible, highly visible economic deliverables. Why soybeans and planes? Because you can put a dollar amount on them and sell that as a clear victory to voters in the Midwest and factory workers in Seattle. It is an optic win.
And then look at the other side of the table. Their goal is entirely different, but equally transactional. They desperately need to stabilize this bilateral relationship right now to alleviate immense domestic economic pressure.
It is significant pressure. You have the ongoing real estate collapse, which is wiping out the savings of the middle class and soaring youth unemployment. They absolutely need a steady flow of foreign capital and tech. But, and this is the crucial structural part, they need that stabilization while holding absolutely firm on what they call their 4 red lines.
Right, which are Taiwan, democracy, and human rights, their system and path, and their development rights.
Spot on. They want the American money. They desperately want the tech. But they refuse to budge an inch on their core authoritarian structure. The system and path red line is basically the regime's ideological bedrock.
I have to push back a little on the prevailing narrative here, though, because you hear this chatter in the financial press that maybe this visit signals a new era of openness for their market.
Yeah, you see those op-eds all the time.
But logically, if they truly wanted to open up and integrate, they wouldn't have spent the last several years systematically going backward. They have been aggressively tightening state control over private enterprises, cracking down on foreign data access, and installing party committees inside tech companies.
That is a phenomenal point. Let me try an analogy here to explain that. Think of it like a homeowner buying an incredibly expensive, highly restrictive home security system.
Okay, I am listening.
You bolt the doors, you put iron bars on all the windows, you set up motion sensor cameras in every single room. But then you look at your bank account and realize you are completely out of cash.
Oh.
So what do? You unlock the bolted door and invite a bunch of traveling Wall Street salespeople inside your fortress because you desperately need their money to pay the monthly bill for that very same security system.
That is the absolute perfect way to describe it. They want the financial benefits of an open system without taking the risk of actually opening the system.
Precisely.
Which brings us right back to this idea of North Koreanization. Because if they so desperately need U.S. tech, American GTS, and Wall Street capital to survive, how do we logically reconcile that with a society that feels increasingly, suffocatingly closed off?
We have to look at how they are essentially updating the old North Korean playbook for the modern AI era. Let's compare the traditional pillars of Pyongyang's control with what we are actually seeing being deployed right now.
Let's do it. What is the biggest difference you see?
First, it is the physical versus the digital. The traditional model maintains control through brutal physical isolation. They have a physical intranet. They literally cut their citizens off from the outside world.
Right.
They guard the physical borders with troops and barbed wire. It is an analog fence.
Right. It is analog isolation, very 20th century.
Exactly. But this new model doesn't need to do that. They have built what political scientists are calling a digital leviathan. It relies on AI censorship, ubiquitous facial recognition, and algorithmic content delivery.
It is terrifying, honestly.
You don't need to build a physical fence out of concrete and wire when you have an invisible digital one that tracks everywhere you go, everything you buy, and every single message you text to your family.
It is a totally different dimension of control. It is frictionless. And we are seeing this shift in how they govern on a daily basis, too.
How so?
Well, it used to be that state media would promote specific policies, like support this economic initiative or let's build this infrastructure. But now, if you look at the streets, it is shifting to a demand for absolute, unquestioning loyalty to the leader.
I see.
The language itself is degrading. It is turning into these rigid, repetitive, 4-character slogans that you see plastered everywhere. It is slogan governance.
It is the absolute deification of the leadership. In the analog version of this system, you have to hang a physical portrait of the leader in your living room. You have to keep it perfectly clean, and inspectors come to check on it.
Right, the classic dictator move.
But the digital version of that portrait is the Study Greek Nation app.
Oh, the mechanics of that app are wild.
It truly is. It is not just an RSS feed of government news. It actively turns reading quotes from the leadership into a personal social credit score. It gamifies loyalty.
Which sounds so dystopian.
Let's say you are an average citizen. You want to get a favorable business loan, or maybe you want your kid to get into a good public school. The system tracks your engagement with the propaganda.
Wow.
Did you log in today? Did you read the leader's speech for at least 5 minutes? Did you take the quiz? Your loyalty is tracked, quantified, and directly tied to your societal privileges.
See, this is where my mind immediately goes to the tech scene back in Silicon Valley, and I have to ask, isn't this entire infrastructure building toward a massive system crash?
That is an interesting way to frame it.
In software engineering, a system crash usually happens when the computational load becomes way too heavy, but the system stubbornly refuses to update its core architecture. Isn't relying so heavily on AI, constant digital surveillance, and tracking the micro-behaviors of over 1 billion people just making that entire societal system infinitely more brittle?
It is a fascinating vulnerability. To use a bit of dark humor to explain the difference, the old regime model is like a hardcore, forced fan club. You sit in the audience, and if you don't clap loud enough when the leader speaks, you disappear. But this new digital Leviathan, they have built the smart fan club.
Oh, I like that.
The algorithm auto-subscribes you at birth. It curates your social media feed so you only see the mathematically approved narrative. And like we said, your quantifiable loyalty directly dictates whether or not you get approved for a mortgage.
It is terrifyingly efficient. You don't even have to use physical force if the algorithm just denies you the ability to buy a train ticket.
It is.
Yeah.
And since we have established how this digital Leviathan works mechanically, we really have to ask why. Why is a globally connected, supposedly modern economy actively choosing this specific path?
Right, because it takes immense resources to run that machine.
It comes down to an extreme asymmetry of power. If we look at the ROI, who actually wins here and who loses?
Well, for the leadership, the benefits are completely maximized. From their perspective, the system offers zero friction in decision-making. You want to build a bridge, you build it.
Right.
You want to lock down an entire city of 20 million people over a virus. Done. Overnight. It provides absolute regime security. They can identify and eliminate dissent before it even materializes into an organized thought just by monitoring search queries.
And it establishes long-term legitimacy. Going back to those kids waving flags at the airport at 8:08 p.m., that visual isn't just a party favor for Trump.
No, definitely not.
It is a broadcast to the entire domestic population that says, look at this perfect harmony. Look at this machine. My country has no dissenting noise. Do not even try to resist.
But the cost to the people is equally maximized. You are looking at a total catastrophic loss of social vitality. Psychologists talk about this concept called learned helplessness.
That is a crucial concept here.
It happens when a human being is placed in an environment where they realize they have absolutely no ability to change their circumstances or influence their own trajectory. No matter what they do, the outcome is controlled by an external force.
It breaks you down.
Exactly. When that happens, the brain's natural defense mechanism is just to give up. You stop trying. You blindly follow the strongest entity in the room just to survive.
And when that psychological state sets in across a population of 1 billion people, innovation simply dies.
Completely. It has to.
The true innovation, the kind that builds Silicon Valley, the kind that creates the tech executives walking down that red carpet, inherently requires challenging authority.
Right. It's about breaking rules.
It requires looking at the status quo, pointing at the way things have always been done and saying, this is wrong, I can do it better. You cannot foster a culture of disruptive tech innovation in an environment where questioning the leadership's wisdom lowers your credit score and gets your social media accounts deleted.
Not to mention what is happening to their middle class right now. They are being, for lack of a better word, optimized downward in the name of common prosperity.
That is a polite way to put it.
You have this massive, highly educated youth demographic that 10 years ago would have been starting the next big e-commerce or AI startup. Now, they are exhausted. They are desperately clamoring to pass civil service exams for the safety and stability of a low-level, low-paying state job. The ambition has been structurally flattened by the system.
I do want to point out a crucial contradiction here, though, to make sure we are looking at this accurately. Let's use another tech analogy. Think of a software installation that gets stuck mid-download.
Okay, I follow.
They are not 100% North Korea. They have immense wealth, cutting-edge tech, and 1.4 billion people deeply embedded in global supply chains. They are essentially stuck at a 75% loading bar of a digital Pyongyang.
A 75% loading bar, that is a great way to visualize it.
Right, because they can't go to 100%. If they go to 100%, they cut off the Wall Street money and the U.S. tech they need to survive. So they are hovering at 75%.
Makes sense.
They have the control mechanisms, the algorithms, the absolute power, but they still have to maintain this massive, complex economy that requires some level of global interaction.
But honestly, thinking about the human element of living at that 75% loading bar, it must be profoundly exhausting.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
Imagine having to constantly perform loyalty every single day just to survive. To know that your digital footprint is constantly being weighed and measured by an AI. It turns you into a mere background prop in your own life.
It is massive cognitive overload, which brings us right back to the tarmac, to Trump's visit, and why all this pomp and circumstance and even the deals they might strike this week won't fundamentally change this rigid system. We are looking at the ultimate illusion of the deal. It is political theater at its finest.
Let's look at those 5 Bs again to see why. Any promises made regarding massive purchases, like those 500 Boeing planes or millions of tons of soybeans, are so easily manipulated down the line. It is a sleight of hand.
Exactly. Take the soybeans, for example.
Right.
They can agree to buy a massive shipment of American beans today. They sign the paper, they shake hands, Trump gets his headline.
Right, a big win for the cameras.
But next year, they can easily just quietly shift their agricultural orders back to Brazil. It is an incredibly cheap political chip to play. It allows them to hand the American delegation a perceived win without ever actually becoming truly reliant on U.S. agriculture.
And then there is the human rights aspect, which has become a major focal point of this trip. There is intense bipartisan pressure right now in the U.S. Congress pushing Trump to demand the release of specific political prisoners during these closed-door talks.
Yeah, that is a huge part of the narrative right now.
We were talking about high-profile figures like Jimmy Lai, Pastor Jin Mingri, a Ajivur doctor whose family has been tirelessly advocating for him, and a Uyghur entrepreneur who was detained simply for participating in an international exchange program.
And here is the incredibly cynical reality of statecraft when dealing with a digital leviathan. Releasing those individuals actually costs the regime in Beijing absolutely nothing politically.
This is just a drop in the bucket for them.
They already have absolute control over the remaining 1.4 billion people. But handing over a few high-profile prisoners, it gives Trump a massive, highly visible PR win to take back home. It is an easy concession that looks great on television, but changes absolutely nothing about the machine itself.
Because the core structural issues are completely off the table. They won't even be discussed in a meaningful way.
100%. We are talking about systemic IP theft. We are talking about massive state subsidies that distort global markets and crush competitors.
Right.
We're talking about severe restrictions on foreign capital and aggressive military posturing in the region. Those things will not change. Why? Because relaxing state control over those sectors would directly threaten the regime's absolute grip on power. It violates their system and path red line.
It is that home security system analogy again. They aren't going to turn off the cameras and unlock the doors just because the salesman is sitting in the living room writing up a contract.
Right. And true economic decoupling, actually extracting Western supply chains from that deeply embedded ecosystem, takes years, if not decades. You don't just pick up a massive manufacturing hub in Shenzhen and move it to Mexico or Vietnam overnight.
No, of course not.
It requires sustained investment and incredibly painful shifting. It is not something you solve in a single weekend summit, no matter how many heavy-hitting CEOs you bring with you on the plane.
It is the ultimate irony of the 21st century. You have this regime desperately trying to enjoy all the financial and technological benefits of the U.S.-led global capitalist system, while simultaneously utilizing their digital leviathan to dismantle the very values that system is built on: transparency, freedom of information, and individual liberty.
To be clear, as we wrap up this analysis, we aren't standing on a high horse pointing fingers at any political regime. This isn't about taking a political side. This is an objective look at the structural logic of international relations and the reality of how these systems function.
Exactly. We lay out this cold data and we describe these magic realism airport scenes not to criticize the everyday people living under these systems. We do it because we fundamentally believe that seeing is the first step to independent thought.
Beautifully put.
You have to understand how the machinery operates to understand the outcome it produces. Any societal phenomenon, no matter how complex or sensitive, deserves to be broken down and rationally discussed.
That is the whole mission of Sip&Talk.
Yeah.
We want this show to be a small window for you, a tool to help you maintain a calm, objective perspective amidst all the noise, the geopolitical theater, and the endless, loud slogans. We want to cut through the pageantry.
And before we officially sign off, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over today. Power flows, leaders change, slogans will always be rewritten, but your brain is your own.
I love that.
The systems of control may get more sophisticated. They might upgrade from analog fences to AI algorithms, but your fundamental ability to observe them critically cannot be taken away unless you let it. Keep questioning, keep being curious.
Beautifully said. But hey, before we go, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button for Sip and Talk so you never miss a conversation. And also, you definitely need to go check out our good friend Mickey's YouTube channel, Mickey to Life.
Oh my gosh, yes. Mickey's recent travel vlogs from Fukuoka and Kumamoto are so good. His observation diaries are super fun, beautifully shot, and honestly just a must-watch if you need a breather from heavy global politics. Highly recommend.
Stay rational, stay curious. See you next time.
Bye, guys. Chat next time.